Welcome to the Plant Grow REAP podcast.
Welcome to Plant Grow REAP. I'm Simone. I am here today with Andrea McKenna, who is the partner of Aintree Group and one of the founding members, I suppose. Well, not member. Founding, what would you say? I'm not even
the
sure.
person who sat at the kitchen table and
Yes.
signed the documents.
Yes.
To that person.
Yes, so welcome.
Thank
It's
you.
very lovely to have you today. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up working in your current role?
So Shane is an accountant and he was a partner at a different firm, and a little while back, 18 years ago, he decided that he didn't want to be part of a big firm anymore. So we made a decision to go into business together. And as I said when we first started, we set everything up from the kitchen table at home. So I kind of was thrown into being the founder of an accounting firm. I am not an accountant, so my ability to communicate numbers is zero. So thankfully I married somebody who is really good at numbers. So my background was in marketing and communications. It just made sense that I would be able to help Shane with all of the business stuff that needed to happen as part of setting up an accounting firm. So we'd been married for some time while he was a partner at the previous firm. So I kind of had an understanding of what he was doing every day anyway. So it just made life a bit easier to get my head around where it would all go.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah.
So what are some of the key responsibilities of your current job, and how have they evolved in the last 18 years?
So obviously when we started, we were at home around the kitchen table, and the team was quite small. There was just Shane and I and Jacob at the time, who was about 18 months old. And we had two other team members who had come to us from the previous firm who joined us. And originally it was really just a very basic, how do we set up our systems and how do we put procedures together, and making sure everybody got fed during the day while we were in the home office. Then it evolved to moving to an office space where we went into work every day, which was a bit weird for me because I'd given up my previous job, but when I had Jacob, which a lot of people do, they give up their jobs to go have a family. And so going to work every day was a bit different for me, and then working with Shane, so making decisions together. And I think Simone has worked with us long enough to know that that can be a bit challenging sometimes. So my role has gone from being sort of just the setup stuff, and now I kind of hover over everything, giving advice to team members when they need it, giving advice to the HR team when they need it, recruitment, making sure that we have enough bread in the kitchen so that people can make their toasties at lunchtime.
Keeping us all well fed.
The important stuff that makes a difference to the business. But, when we started, there was only a couple of us, and now there's almost 50. So working with a team of 50 people is really different to where it used to be. And, even since COVID, the business has probably grown in terms of the headcount of people who sit in the office. So now I just spend most of my day making sure that everyone has what they need, and that's what I say my job is. I don't really have a position description in the business. It's just a job where I guess I'm like Mary Poppins, and I just float around on my little umbrella and make sure that everybody pull out the stuff out of the bag that people need, because they say, this has come up and things like that. So, but we've gone through a lot of change in the last sort of 10 months and, put a lot of procedures in place and actually put together position descriptions. And I anticipate in the next couple of months that, what I do will actually get written down, because that's part of the project as well. So then it'll be really interesting for me to see what I actually do, because a lot of it is just in my head and in Shane's head. And
I will not be putting my hand up to be writing that procedure, because I feel like it will be many
that one
long.
that is definitely a Julie one.
So it seems a bit silly to be asking this question because I feel like it's not all that relevant, but what does a typical week look like for you?
I left that question on this because I thought it was going to be really funny. There is no typical week for me. Some days I will be dealing with clients because they will have a problem. Yesterday afternoon, Daniel came into Shane's office and they were having a conversation about a client situation, and stuff that I was, giving advice on was things that no accountant would ever think about, or, it's things that just come from general, business understanding. So there's client stuff that I work on. There's lots of team events. There is not a typical day or a typical week. And that's probably what I love most about it, is that there's just so much going on, and Aintree Group doesn't sit still, as Simone is very well aware. There's always something different. There might be a client event. There might be puppies coming in to give us cuddles in the morning. There might be a lunch. There might be new procedures that need to be written. There's, always recruitment going on. There is always, a mentoring lunch or something like that. So there is no typical week. It is really random. But what I love most about Aintree Group is that the team is just incredible. So even if I'm not in the office, there's just 10 other people who will pitch in to do the things that need to be done. And there's never a dull moment. It's just always everybody's got their hands, ready to help. So
it can also vary as much as coming back from leave to an entire new business unit, which is a lot of
Sorry,
fun.
Simone. So that one I can explain a little bit about. That is that Simone went away on her honeymoon and came back, and we'd set up a new business. So, and said to Simone, hey, guess what? Now you're not just the head of one business unit, but you've got another one to look after as well. Is that okay?
We'll see you Monday.
So, things do not sit still. So there is no typical week. And, I understand how that really impacts on the team, and I really value the fact that they are so adaptable, and we've got such a culture where people are just really happy to move and grow. And I guess this podcast is one of those things as well, where I went to Ali one day and said, oh hey, we're going to do a podcast, and I said, do you know how to podcast? And Ali looked at me and she said, well, I've listened to podcasts. And I said to her, it's fine, you'll be fine. And then this week we had a situation where we're like, oh okay, so Shane and Andrea are doing this podcast, but now we've got this other idea for a podcast, and hence we've now got Plant Grow Reap and the podcast, which is pretty incredible given that Chelsea had about 20 minutes to get it all organised, and then Ali started putting everything together, and then Simone came in and started interviewing people. So that is a typical week for me.
I feel like it encompasses
yeah,
apologies. Aintree Group very well, that everyone sort of just jumped on board and was like, we can do this, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is great.
Yeah.
So I doubt that in the 18 years that there have been zero challenges. So what are some of the challenges you faced, and how have you overcome them?
Yeah, there's been a lot of challenges. I think working with your husband is one of the biggest challenges, but I
don't know how you do it.
Yeah, most people say that. I think that Shane and I, because we're from completely different backgrounds and he is the accountant and I'm not, it makes it much easier. I think it would be harder if we were both in the same, come from the same training. So I think that makes it easier. I don't know what it is about the two of us that makes it easier for us to work with each other, except that Shane doesn't like conflict, so he will typically just say, okay, Andrea, that's fine, we'll do it that way. So I think maybe that's a little bit of it. Challenges along the way, obviously as a business owner, recruitment and staffing challenges are always a thing. People challenges are probably one of the biggest things that, we have to deal with in a typical week, and, making sure that our team is happy and has what they need. As the environment changes and, the economy, downturns in the economy and things like that, you've always got, interest rate rises or, one of the biggest challenges in accounting firms over the last sort of 6 to 8 months has been recruitment of qualified accountants. So that one's always at the, something that is in the back of my mind. Personal challenges, having a family, a small family, and growing them up with the business. Jacob was a baby when we first started Aintree Group, and then Emily came along, and they were the reason why we decided to set up the business together so that we could spend more time with them. They are now both adults and neither of them live at home. So the challenge of Shane and I having to recognise that there's just the two of us again, that was a really big thing for us personally, to make those changes, because you spend at least 18 years of your life looking after kids, and the business is one of our kids as well. So you spend 18 years of your life looking after them, and then they go, and you look at each other and say, okay, what do we do now? Mm. And at that point, we set up new businesses and throw them at people like Simone. So that's another baby gets born. So that's one of the biggest challenges. And, just life in general, parents getting older and, all the things that come with it. There's been no specific, really serious business challenges that we've faced. We have incredible clients. We give them incredible service. And as a result of that, the clients, feel like they are part of our community and they feel like they are cared for and loved. And, that is one of the most important things to us as people. And therefore, it's been easy to manage that with Aintree Group. Then bringing on new business units and having to learn other people's styles and things like that, which is always a challenge, but I think not a challenge in a bad way, challenge in a really good way, because sometimes new people coming into the business puts a mirror up to you, and you can recognise that what they bring to the business is something that you could never have brought unless they were there bringing it too. So I think that has been challenging but really rewarding at the same time.
So in contrast to that, what are some of the most enjoyable parts of your job, and specifically the culture that you have fostered within Aintree Group?
The one thing that stands out this morning is the fact that we had puppies in the office. Like, who can not want to work in a place where they have puppies? I think that one of the biggest things that I feel really proud of over the last 18 months of business is our culture champions, and the fact that, we spent a week as a firm at the end of last year really delving down into why we do things and agreeing to things as a team about how we would go forward, and the way the team have embraced all of that this year, and our culture champions and the way they put on events and bring us all together in fun ways has been something that has been really rewarding, and I think we all as a team should be really proud of that in particular. There's so many other things, but that one is the one that really comes to my mind at the moment, is that we've just had a really good year with people, and the way the team have embraced all of those new values, which were not new values, it's just we all of a sudden put them down on paper. But the team came up with those without us really having to do much. Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who's aspiring to work in a role similar to yours?
Don't do it. I think that, so because I don't have a specific role and most of it is just made up as I go along and I just do the things that need to be done, if you're the sort of person that needs lots of structure in your space, then maybe doing this sort of thing isn't for you. But, advice to people who might be thinking about going into business with their partner or something like that, don't be scared because people think that it's weird or, always ask you, how do you do that? Because I think a lot of couples would be really good in business together, but they're just scared of the fact that they have to spend all that time together, and it becomes a really different dynamic from a relationship perspective. I think the biggest advice is just learn as much as you can about as many aspects of business as you can, because my original university degree was an arts degree, and I majored in politics, and I knew I never had any interest in getting into politics at all because it is clearly a mug's game. But the skills that I learned at university were all about, research and learning and stuff like that. And what I did from the day that I got out of university is just tried to learn as much as I could by reading as much as I could, and spending as much time in business and listening to Shane. He has an incredible business mind. So him talking to me about clients and the situations that clients were facing was a really good learning for me. And then, deliberately learning about HR and deliberately learning about business structure and deliberately learning about things that relate to business that are not dollars and cents, because I'm not a dollars and cents person. I can't add up for the life of me, but the other stuff is really important. And I think people, when they go to an accountant, for instance, they're always wanting to get advice about numbers, but you can't run a successful business just on numbers. There's a whole range of things that go outside of that. So if you want to be in a role like what I do, then you have to have the ability to put a finger in every pie, because the advice that you'll need to give to people is in every aspect of the business, including, where do I order milk from and stuff like that. So, yeah.
So being that your role changes and pivots so much, what would you say would be some of the most valuable skills or qualities that have helped you succeed in your career so far?
This is like one of those questions where someone says to you, what are your strengths and weaknesses? I'm not sure that I can answer that question, because, again, when I put a mirror up to myself, I'm really self-deprecating, which I guess most people are. I think adaptability that is the biggest thing. Just and not getting too stressed out over how much money things are costing and stuff, which again is a very non-accountant thing. And luckily for me, Shane is the one who thinks about how much things are costing and says, no, we can't do that. But yeah, adaptability is the biggest thing, because the reason why we will set up a new business is typically because Shane will say, oh, we've had this opportunity, and do you think we can manage it? And I will then have to come up with the 6,000 ways of managing it. So adaptability is probably the biggest thing that I would say, without, wanting to blow my own trumpet, because I'm not really very good at that. So, yeah.
Have you had any mentors or role models that have influenced your professional journey?
Not really any mentors. A lot of people that I have come across in my time in business that have had an impact, but not really like on a direct basis. Some people that were there in the very early stages, and funnily enough, a lot of those people are still in my life, not in a business way, but in a personal way. And some of them live overseas, and, I just catch up with them via Facebook. So thank goodness for social media. But, she's going to hate me for saying her name as well. But one of the people that I still am in contact with to this day is a lady named Buzz McCarthy. And Buzz was the chairperson of a business women's committee that I was involved in really early on in Aintree Group. And she was just the most incredible woman. She still is the most incredible woman, and had, run lots of businesses herself. And there isn't a person in the world, I reckon, that Buzz doesn't know or know of. And even to this day, when she writes, she's written a couple of books, and she's renovated beautiful farmhouses in, the Italian hills and stuff like that. And even to this day, when she posts something on social media, she's just so eloquent and intelligent, and everything about her, I just look at it and I think, one day I want to be like Buzz. I will never be like Buzz, because there's so many reasons why I'd never be like Buzz, but she is like the pinnacle of success to me, and she will hate that I've said that. Either that or she'll send me a message and say, Andrea, that was amazing. Thank you for that. The stupid part about this whole story is that I was on a plane coming home from the UK recently, having dropped Emily off, and I was sat next to this lady who I'd never met before, and we were having a chat, and her daughter ended up at the same university as Emily's. It was a completely ridiculous time, and I posted about it on my social media when I got home that I'd, come across this lady sitting next to her on the plane. And my friend Buzz sends me a message a few days later and says, I actually know that person's parents. And when I sat on the plane that day, I thought, I wonder if Buzz knows these people. And sure enough, she does. And so that's the sort of person that Buzz is, and probably the reason why she's the one who, sticks in my mind from all those years ago. And there are lots of other people that I've reconnected with as a result of that original connection with Buzz. So,
lovely. How do you handle stress and maintain a positive mindset, especially during challenging times? I think this is a very, very good question considering the recent COVID events.
I don't handle stress very well at all. And I guess I take it out on Shane, which is, unfortunate, but that's life. I am really quick-tempered and really hard to live with, I imagine. So I've done a lot of work over the last sort of 6 months on trying to not be like that. And it's a challenge because I've always been that sort of person. I don't know why, just naturally, nature, I guess. I've really started to work on the concept of, just like taking time out and, doing the 10-second breathe and stuff like that. And I've done that as a result of, what challenges my kids have gone through and stuff as well, that, that reflection of, is it worth getting angry about stuff or is it worth getting worked up about stuff? And Shane is really chill. So I guess, we bounce off each other like that. During COVID, I think we made a really quick decision that the team had to stay home. And thankfully, we had a team around us who were really adaptable to that. I mean, who doesn't want to stay home anyway? Like, that is a really cool thing to be told.
PJs, yes, please.
Exactly. Again, it's just all about adaptability, isn't it? You've just got to sit there and go, this is a challenge that's being thrown at me. How can I best handle all the decisions around that? And I'm sure we've made really bad decisions along the way because we haven't handled the stress well of it. But ultimately, I think that, being adaptable just means that I'll probably get angry at Shane quickly about something, and but then I walk away from that anger and, move on. I think that's probably why our relationship works really well, is because he is non-confrontational, so he won't come back. And I guess we all know that if you're angry and someone comes back angry at you, then it's much easier to stay angry.
It's like a bull
you can't
with a flag.
say, you can't stay angry at somebody who's just like chilling on the couch watching TV. So, so I think, but I don't deal with stress very well, and I have to get better at that. And it's, again, as people come into the business and show you how they manage those things for themselves, it's easier to see and go, hey, that actually works really well. I should give that a try.
You can pick and choose.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Exactly.
Do you have any projects on the horizon that you'd like to discuss with us?
Well, obviously the podcast is the biggest one on the horizon. It's been sitting around for, some months. And I'm so glad that we are here today having a bit of a film to do that, because that's been something that I think Shane and I have thought would be a fun thing to do. From a business perspective, we will outgrow our office space and have to, review what we do with those sorts of things pretty quickly. And, I see those sorts of things as exciting projects, because taking the team on a growth journey, like, reviewing offices and doing all of that fun stuff is pretty cool. Shane and I have ideas for another couple of business units. Don't tell anybody that yet, because I'm not sure that they're ready for it, but eventually there'll be another couple of business units that get added, and I think it's always growth for us at Aintree Group, and I think there's lots of opportunity in the business world to do, you know, different things and take on new challenges and be part of new things. I'd really love to be able to give our time to mentoring young people, and I think that, you know, that's one of the projects that I'd like to work on in the next sort of 12 to 18 months and make sure that we're giving back. One of the things that our team does incredibly well is give to the community around us, and I think that a lot of our team have a lot of value to offer to young people, so that's something that I think that we can really move forward with. And all of these things are pie in the sky, and Chelsea's going to listen to this podcast episode and go, oh my gosh, another thing that Andrea wants me to do. But that's okay. Thankfully, Chelsea's one of those people that is very adaptable. So
nothing's too hard for Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned those business units in a nice private and confidential chat.
Shh.
What does your perfect day off look like?
My perfect
day off.
Oh, gosh. So I really decided once we became empty nesters, when the kids moved out of home, that traveling was one of the biggest things that I wanted to be able to do with my spare time. And my perfect day off could be one of two things. It could be either sitting by the pool with a cocktail in my hand reading, or it could be exploring a new city and, you know, doing 20,000 steps and, you know, getting into bed that night and being completely exhausted. So, yeah, two different types of perfect day for me. Yeah.
So with all of your travel, I would imagine you have friends and family all across the globe. So how do you stay connected with your friends and family in your busy life, and what role does community play for you?
As I said before, Facebook is huge. I think that we're really lucky that there's some social media out there that keeps us connected with people who are all over the world, which is really important. I was talking to somebody the other day about traveling as a younger person and how we would do reverse charge phone calls back home to my mum. And at one point, the bill came in at like $2,500 for the reverse charge phone calls, and my mum said, I could have come with you on the holiday for that much, so please don't do that to me again, she said. But at least now when I'm away, I put a new SIM card in my phone and just text with her, or, you know, FaceTime and stuff like that, which I think is just like, how incredible is it that we've gone from having to send a postcard with a stamp, go into the post office and try and ask for a stamp in, you know, broken, whatever the local language is, to now just being able to FaceTime with somebody from the street, basically, like, you know, oh, here, now I can show my mum what Big Ben looks like, even though I'm, you know, which is cool. So social media is a big element to that. In terms of my local friends, you know, I'm really lucky that I've got a few friends who just love to catch up for dinner, and, you know, who doesn't love to catch up for dinner with your friends? So I'm not the one who organises it, though. I'm lucky that I've got some really good friends that will, you know, start yeah, exactly, email chain or the text message chain to say, come and have dinner somewhere. So that's that. And, you know, that probably happens, you know, once every 2 or 3 weeks. Thank goodness people are way more organised than I am. And there was a second element to that question, and I can't remember what it was because I talk too much.
What role does community play for you?
Community, I mean, Shane and I have always been really active community members in terms of, you know, when your kids are at school and you join committees and stuff like that. I think that, you know, now that we don't have any school elements to our stuff, we've started to go out into the broader community, particularly with the team at Aintree Group as well, with, you know, becoming committee members in local footy clubs, and Shane is on the committee of the kayaking club that Emily used to be part of, and we've got friends who are really active in community sport and things like that, so we just get involved as much as we can in those sorts of things, because I think that again, like I said, we've just got so much to offer people, and why would we not want to just sort of gift our time when we've got it? So community is really important, and fortunately the rest of the team around us recognises that too, which is incredible, because I know, you know, it's not a given. You know, some businesses just don't focus on that, but I can't imagine that our team would be the same team if we didn't have, you know, a really strong community element to our conversations.
I think it's incredible that the business has grown to, I think it's around 50 odd people now. To have so many people that share so many of the same values is, I think, a testament to yourself and Shane and the people that you bring on board.
Yeah, I think that, you know, getting our values and vision really clearly defined as well, which the team were the drivers of. Like, Shane and I didn't do any of that work. That was all done by the team to bring all of that stuff together, so that we've got all these really beautiful graphics and, you know, posters around the office, and people look at that. So, you know, now when I interview with people from a recruitment perspective, those values and that community stuff that's what people come to us for. It's not because they want a job at an accounting firm. They come because of those things. And so the team have created that atmosphere, and, you know, we couldn't have done that without them. So, you know, thank you for saying it's a testament to us, but I actually think it's the reverse. We couldn't have done that just as Shane and I, because it's just the two of us. The whole thing is all about what the team values, and the team bringing it forward, and you know, coming to us with things like, you know, charity events and whatever it is that are in their, you know, community spaces as well. So it's definitely, you know, thank you for saying it was Shane and I, but it really wasn't. It was everybody else in the team. So, yeah.
And I've left the question that I've been most intrigued to ask until last. If you could give your younger self, one piece of advice, what would it be?
Slow down. Yeah, it is absolutely slow down. And, you know, when I have had conversations with younger people who are, you know, moving into business space, coming out of university and stuff like that, that is the biggest thing I say to them. Slow down. Everybody is in such a rush to get from, you know, the end of high school to the end of university to their first job to, you know, the next job, and what do I want to achieve by the time I'm 25 and all of that sort of stuff. And people who are sitting there going, I don't know where I want to be. I don't know what sort of job I want to have. It's like, just chill and slow down. Like, there's no rush to get to from point A to point B. Like, you will get there, because I just think that, you know, there's no way that I would be the same person today if I had have just skipped across things because I thought, oh no, I don't need to worry about that. I'm just going to rush through that and move to the next point. And I think that there's something really strong these days in young people that, you know, I've got to do this and I've got to buy a house and I've got to get to the next step. And I just think if everyone just slowed down a bit and you don't put so much pressure on yourself to achieve the next goal, because there's plenty of time. Like, I know that probably sounds really flippant because sometimes there isn't plenty of time, but, you know, for the most part, most of us have got a full life to live, and trying to get from one point to the next in the quickest possible time is not necessarily the best way to do it. And, you know, I was talking to a young friend the other day who was a bit lost and doesn't really know what sort of career she wants and things like that. And I just said to her, I don't know what sort of career I want either, and I'm nearly 50. So, and that's okay. Like, you know, sometimes things will change as you go. Like, you know, Simone, you know, my friend Julie, who does a lot of work with Aintree Group as well, and she has had, you know, 15 different careers in her life, and all of them incredibly valuable, and, you know, grew from the next one to the next one. So, you know, don't be so focused on, I want to be a XYZ by the time I'm 25, because, you know, there's lots of time in between to learn. So, yeah, slow down. That was a really long-winded way of saying just slow down, people.
Thank you very much for joining us today, and I hope this chat has been as much fun as it has been for me for you. I've learnt a lot, and it's been really great.
Well, thanks for taking on the challenge of being podcast host for us, Simone, at very short notice. So
something to add to the CV.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's awesome. And, this is one of the things that I said earlier, that the adaptability of my team, and, I couldn't be prouder of everybody, because people just take on new challenges, and it's awesome. It's such a good and rewarding thing to be part of. So thank you.
You should do what scares you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Simone.
Thanks, Andrea.